The news broke like a thunderclap across the archipelago, reverberating from the bustling cities to the quietest coastal villages. It was a morning that began like any other, but within moments, everything changed. Television screens, radios, and smartphones all flashed the same urgent headline. Chinese warplanes buzz Filipino boats, buoys deployed near Palawan. The message was inescapable, spreading rapidly through group chats, social media feeds, and word of mouth, igniting a wave of anxiety across the nation. For a country used to simmering disputes in the West Philippine Sea, this felt different, immediate, visceral, and terrifying. People gathered in markets, schools, and offices, their faces etched with worry, as the gravity of the situation began to sink in. In Manila, government offices and newsrooms erupted in chaos as frantic calls from fishermen and local officials painted a picture of a bold move by Beijing. The sense of urgency was palpable, with every new report adding to the confusion and fear. This was not a misunderstanding. It was a direct challenge to Philippine sovereignty. Coast Guard vessels scrambled to respond, their crews bracing for the unknown as they patrolled the contested waters. The air in Manila grew thick with tension, families of fishermen gripped by fear. Mothers clutched their children, waiting for news, while fathers stared at their phones, desperate for updates from loved ones at sea. The familiar blue of the West Philippine Sea, a source of pride and livelihood, was suddenly painted with the colors of conflict. What was once a symbol of hope now felt like a battleground, its future uncertain. The initial shock quickly gave way to grim reality. This was a calculated statement of intent from China. Officials addressed the nation, their voices steady but their eyes betraying concern, as they called for unity and vigilance. Warplanes and territorial buoys marked a chilling escalation, executed alarmingly close to Philippine shores. The sight of foreign jets overhead and new markers in the water sent a clear, unsettling message. The calm of the morning was shattered, replaced by the roar of jet engines and the silent claim of foreign markers. The peaceful sunrise was now a backdrop to a display of power and intimidation. The nation was stunned, angry, and afraid, staring into the face of a geopolitical storm. Conversations turned to questions of safety, sovereignty, and what the future might hold. The day the sky roared over calm waters was the day everything changed for the Philippines. The tranquil rhythm of daily life was broken, replaced by uncertainty and a sense of looming danger. The crisis had arrived, and the country braced for what would come next. As leaders strategized and citizens watched the horizon, one thing was clear: the morning's events would echo for generations to come. Before the jets, October 22nd was just another day for Palawan's fishermen. Captain Mateo Reyes and his crew set out before dawn, their world defined by salt spray and the hope of a good catch. The sea was their home, their legacy, and their lifeline. Their conversations were about family, fish prices, and the weather, not politics or military threats. The West Philippine Sea was simply where they belonged. These fishermen are stewards of a rich, biodiverse ecosystem, their knowledge passed down through generations. For them, reefs are not strategic assets, but vital sources of food and life. On that morning, the catch was promising, the moonlight, laughter echoing across the water. They fished in traditional grounds, well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. There was no sense of danger, no hint of the crisis about to unfold. It was a scene of peace, moments before it was violently interrupted. The ordinary had no warning of the extraordinary threat about to descend. The peace was shattered without warning. A calm morning turned into chaos in an instant. A low rumble grew into a deafening roar. Two Chinese fighter jets streaked overhead, engines screaming, slicing through the sky with intimidating speed. The fishermen ducked in fear. The red star insignia, unmistakable, a symbol of power and dominance that sent shivers down their spines. The jets circled, a predatory arc, sending a clear message. This was no friendly visit, but a demonstration of force and territorial claim. As the roar faded, a Chinese vessel appeared, dropping buoys marked with Chinese flags in a deliberate line, a silent declaration of ownership. These floating markers claimed the sea as China's own, a silent but bold assertion of control. Panic replaced shock as the reality set in. Captain Reyes grabbed his radio, voice trembling as he called the Coast Guard, his heart pounding with urgency and fear. "They are here! Chinese warplanes dropping buoys everywhere!" he shouted, his voice echoing the alarm and desperation felt by all. Other boats echoed the alarm, flooding the radio channels with frantic calls for help and coordination. The tranquil fishing ground had become the epicenter of an international incident, a flashpoint in the ongoing territorial disputes. The fishermen were now unwilling witnesses, their boats suddenly on the front line of a geopolitical struggle. The day's work forgotten, survival and escape became the only priorities as they scrambled to leave the danger zone. The sea was no longer just home. It was a battleground, a place of uncertainty and fear. The crisis was now real, and the world would soon know, as news of the confrontation spread across international headlines. The Chinese buoys were more than a provocation, they were a calculated act of aggression. Unlike jets, buoys are persistent claims, markers that say, "This water is ours." By deploying them within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, China directly refuted international law. This was a significant escalation, moving from harassment to active annexation of maritime space. The strategy gray zone tactics, aggressive moves designed to avoid outright war, but change the status quo. For the Philippines, this was a direct assault on sovereignty and economic security. The West Philippine Sea is vital for food and energy. China's actions threatened to cut off these lifelines. The buoys were not just objects, they were symbols of a creeping occupation. The news hit Malacanang Palace like a lightning bolt, sending shockwaves through the corridors of power. President Marcos Jr. convened an emergency National Security Council meeting within the hour, gathering top advisors and military leaders to strategize a response. Satellite images and Coast Guard reports confirmed the fishermen's frantic calls, painting a clear picture of the escalating situation at sea. The government's response was swift and decisive. The Chinese ambassador was summoned, and a strong diplomatic protest was lodged, signaling the gravity of the situation. In a live broadcast, the president declared with unwavering resolve, "We will not be intimidated. The West Philippine Sea is ours, and we will defend it with all our might." The military was put on high alert. Navy frigates and Air Force patrols were dispatched to the area, ready to protect the nation's sovereignty. The objective was clear: establish a strong presence, document every Chinese, move meticulously, and avoid any provocation that could escalate tensions. The response balanced outrage with caution, every action deliberate, every word measured, ensuring a calculated approach to the crisis. Weakness would invite more aggression, recklessness could spark conflict. The stakes were high, and the strategy had to be flawless. The government launched a comprehensive effort to publicize China's actions internationally, rallying global support and drawing attention to the unfolding events. Manila was preparing for a protracted standoff, turning crisis into a test of national resolve and unity, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The world was watching closely, and the Philippines would not back down, determined to stand firm in the face of adversity. The nation stood united, ready for the long haul, with citizens rallying together, showing solidarity and unwavering support for their leaders and military. As the government mobilized, Filipinos erupted in collective anger and patriotism. Social media exploded with the hashtag #WestPHSCIsOurs, uniting millions in outrage. Memes, news clips, and satellite images went viral, fueling a digital groundswell. Protests erupted in Manila, with citizens demanding action and waving flags in front of the Chinese consulate. News outlets provided wall-to-wall coverage, amplifying the fishermen's stories and the nation's defiance. The crisis forged rare unity. Political rivals stood together, and calls for boycotts of Chinese products spread. Filipino nationalism was awakened, resilient and unyielding in the face of external threat. The crisis exposed the vast power gap between China and the Philippines. China, a global superpower with the world's largest navy, faced a proud but underfunded Philippine military. The AFP's modernization was ongoing, but it remained dwarfed by China's might. Direct confrontation would be suicidal. The Philippines knew it couldn't win a war. Instead, it relied on asymmetric defense, leveraging international law, alliances, and global support. The goal: make China's aggression diplomatically costly. The Filipino spirit of resilience is its greatest asset, rooted in a history of standing up to larger powers. The challenge turned resolve into a sustainable strategy, investing in defense, diplomacy, and public opinion. The standoff was a test of ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive as a sovereign state. The event sent ripples across the globe, drawing immediate attention from world powers. The US, bound by the Mutual Defense Treaty, reaffirmed its commitment to defend the Philippines. The EU, Australia, Japan, and Canada called for de-escalation and respect for international law. The South China Sea's importance to global trade made China's actions a threat to the rules-based order. Within ASEAN, reactions were mixed. Some supported the Philippines, but consensus was elusive due to China's influence. The crisis tested the US-Philippines alliance, with the world watching for America's response. The deployment of warplanes and buoys was a direct challenge to this alliance. The stakes were far higher than a few buoys. They involved the future of regional security. The balance of power in the 21st century was on the line. China's actions were part of a long-term salami-slicing strategy, incremental moves that add up to major gains. By building islands, deploying militias, and now placing buoys, China expands control slice by slice, avoiding outright war. Each move is small, but together, they change the reality at sea, forcing others into a reactive posture. The cabbage strategy surrounds contested features with layers of vessels, choking off access. The buoys are a new, permanent layer, solidifying control and denying Filipino access. The unresolved question: how to push back against a power that advances in inches, not miles. The next move in this dangerous game will shape the future of the region and the world.